Her agent said that the wonderful old Opry star died just now in Nashville. Janet Seeley, may you rest in peace. Her family has talked about Jeannie's last days and hours because they thought she would want Opry fans all over the world to know about them. She gets up before dawn, makes the same brand of coffee she has been drinking since 1972, and sits on her back porch outside of Nashville by herself. Sitting there with a book in her lap and a thick blanket of silence, she watches the sun rise over the misty Tennessee hills. She writes songs every morning that she'll never share. Some days she just stands there and stares, her lips tight as she whispers names only she can hear. As the world moves forward in search of new stars and fame, Jeannie deals with the weight of having lived through everything and not being known for very much of it. In Europe, people still buy her old songs. The Grand Ole Opry still hears her singing. But in her own world, Jeannie lives quietly with memories, sadness, and one last truth she has never been brave enough to say out loud. Up until now, Tina Jane Seeley was born in Titusville, Pennsylvania. In 1940, there was a very small town with only one church, one grocery shop, and one radio tower. Her folks worked in steel mills and on farms and were tough from war and time, but Jeannie's voice had a lilt that made people notice it even when she was a child. She could tune in with the wind through the trees by the time she was 4 years old. When she was 16, she would sneak into bars late at night just to hear live country music. She knew she didn't belong in Titusville. She was too fierce, too open, and too brave. The people around her wore plaid, but she dreamed in diamonds. She got on a Greyhound bus to Los Angeles in the early 1960s with just $50 and a strong belief that Nashville would finally call her. She worked as a secretary in a music production office during the day and wrote songs on napkins at night. Her big break came when she wrote "Anyone Who Knows What Love Is Will Understand." Irma Thomas recorded it, and it was later used in Black Mirror, showing that Jeannie's songs were timeless. However, she didn't really change until she went to Nashville. She got a record deal with Monument Records and put out "Don't Touch Me" in 1966. It went straight to #2 on the charts and won her a Grammy, making her the first woman to win for Best Country Singing Performance. Not only did she break in, she also broke the rules. When it was still frowned upon, Jeannie wore short skirts on the Opry stage. She smoked, cursed, and wrote from a woman's point of view. She also wouldn't smooth out her writing to make it more palatable to conservative readers. He was brave, but there was a deep pain behind it. She married the singer James Cochran. His highs led to duets, and his lows made her voice crack in interviews. He was the man behind hits like "Make the World Go Away." She didn't show how much the breakup hurt her. She hid her pain in her work by singing non-stop and writing songs about broken hearts. And she never stopped going up. During the 1970s and 1980s, she could always be found at the Grand Ole Opry, not just as an artist but also as a force. But fame changes quickly. By the 1990s, the business that used to praise her started to change. As new singers and record bosses came on the scene, Jeannie's name dropped further down the list. The award shows stopped calling. Some newer artists didn't know who she was. She kept smiling, but behind closed doors she was sad, not just about the attention but also about the end of a golden age that she had helped create. Even so, Jeannie Seeley still has a plan when she wakes up in 2025. Still writes, still sings, and still prays to herself every night before every show from behind the Opry curtain. Don't forget who you are. Jeannie Seeley sees the Grand Ole Opry as more than just a stage. It is a live memory and a holy place where ghosts whisper from the wings. Every note carries the weight of many generations. Years have passed since Jeannie joined the Opry, but she has become one of the few stars who never goes away. She has stood in that circle of wood for more than 50 years and sang songs about love, pain, and life. She does this not because it's what she does but because she cares. Even now at age 85, she does more shows there than almost anyone else, putting on hand-stitched gowns with rhinestones and moving carefully in high heels that hold secrets no one else knows. However, things changed after the flu. On the Opry stage the lights are still bright, but what about backstage? It's not as loud. She has seen friends die. Some moved slowly, others quickly. Whispered news of heart attacks, diagnoses, or people who just didn't wake up this morning. Every time Jeannie takes a longer moment in front of the mirror in her dressing room. She does this not because she is proud but because she is thankful. Even though her speech is softer now, it still gets louder when it needs to. The light makes her hair take longer to fix, but it still stays in place. She knows she shouldn't be here but she is. But Jeannie does more than just sing behind the scenes. She has sadness. She still talks about her one and only child, the child she never got to raise, when she is alone. She lost a baby when she was in her early 20s and rarely talked about it in public. It scared her, and she wrote songs about it that were never played on the radio. In 2016, she also lost her second husband, lawyer Gene Ward of Nashville. In her old age, he was her rock. The person who drove her to the shows made her feel better, and told her she was still important. As soon as he died, Jeannie kept playing, but she changed in some way. She began to sleep with the TV on, write letters she never sent, and talk to the empty seat next to her in the car. Still, she comes with her boots shined, makeup on, and a big smile on her face. But the word for it is perseverance, not performance. She does more than just sing a song every time she steps into the circle at the Opry. She is telling time, not yet, which is against it. People in the crowd, young and old, stand up, not because she's well known but because she's still being brave. They are still there, still alive and well. After a night at the Opry, Jeannie Seely comes home to a strange quiet. There is less clapping. The light gets dimmer. When the makeup is taken off, there is only a quiet house with pictures on the walls, awards gathering dust, and memories stacked like records on shelves. Even though Jeannie is 85 years old, she doesn't live in a fancy house. Instead, she lives in history. There are framed newspaper stories, fan letters, and shelves of vinyl records in her home outside of Nashville. Among them are her own albums, which are next to records by famous artists she used to tour with. They are Ernest Tubb, Dottie West, and Patsy Cline. She does more than just country songs. She sounds like country music. But that's not always remembered in the music business. Recently, Jeannie has talked about how the industry tries to erase older women, but she has done so in a soft way, not in a mean way, but without caring. Award shows don't call very often. She can't be played on country radio. TV shows like new artists with a few hits more than legends who have been around for a long time. Her voice doesn't sound angry, but the truth is there like a ghost note. She makes fun of the fact that she's the oldest girl at the dance, but jokes aren't funny when you're the only person from your generation still dancing. The woman who wears stage dresses and has a signature sense of humor often eats dinner by herself, warms up coffee in the microwave, and writes songs at the kitchen table that might never be recorded. She still writes every morning, sometimes on legal pads and sometimes in the margins of old church papers. She'll hum a tune, look out at the rain, and say a line to herself before writing it down. She calls her little rescue dog her studio assistant because she talks to it in the morning. Sometimes it's too quiet, so she'll play an old Willie Nelson record and let it fill the room. She's not angry though. She knows a lot. She's been strong. While others went away, Jeannie changed. Before most of her friends even had computers, she started a podcast. She slowly and carefully joined TikTok after a younger fan asked her to help her post. She began to help new female musicians by telling them that their stories are important, even if Nashville doesn't always listen. What did she say? Don't cut down to make them feel better, and don't let them tell you you're too much. Even though she says it with a wink, it's true because she's been both praised and ignored for decades. In this strange last part of her life, Jeannie Seely finds peace not in recognizing who she is, but in her ability to keep going. Her job isn't about making a comeback. It has to do with staying strong, which could be the strangest thing to do in all of music. There were more things that shaped Jeannie Seely's path through country music than just songs and settings. It was shaped by the men who tried to shape her but failed. Nashville was a city of cowboy hats and closed doors in the 1960s and 1970s. Artists who were women were often told to smile, sing sweet songs, and be quiet when deals were made. Why not Jeannie? She said no. She fought back. Every time she was praised on stage, she was told to calm down or behave more like a lady behind the scenes. Some of the biggest names in country music told her she was too stubborn to sell when they saw her in their studios. A well-known record company executive once told her, "You sing with too much attitude. If another woman sounds that sure of herself, she won't sell any songs." Jeannie did not move. She replied, "Then I'll make music for men who can handle it." She taped songs that other women were afraid to touch, like rough songs about divorce, desire, and being alone. Those words made her a leader, but they also made people want to hurt her.